Okay, so finally we come to the last exercise here, which would be stacking. And this is curious, but in this video we're going to study all the modes of like the actual shape of all these modes. With these letter patterns, it's basically building blocks, smaller pieces of the full mode shapes across the 6 strings. So if you notice, the first 2 strings of the A minor scale are the A letter pattern. Well, what happens when you do runs, when you go up forward, A, B, C, you start going up horizontally, it's going to go in alphabetic order. When you go down, the 6 strings vertically down, you're actually going to go backwards. So you start on the A, then we go to G, and then we go to F. And we're just following those letter patterns. So let's start doing this off of all these different shapes. We'll start on the 1 here, the F, and we'll play F, then we'll play the E, and then we'll play the D. And if you can remember this shape, it's actually the F Lydian scale across 6 strings. So easy stuff. So maybe just kind of, do it up and down a few times. Just going to solidify your knowledge of these scale shapes. Next, we're going to head to the G. We go G, F, backwards, to E, backwards, hopefully this doesn't need an explanation because you should know pretty well these letter patterns. G, F, and E. You should know where those letters are. The F is here, the E is here. You play the shape off of those notes. The G is here, F on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, and the E on the 5th fret. If you don't know where all the letters are, go back to the tuna game. Go back to the letter memory game. Those two will help you to find the letters which are included here. Next, we head to A. So we play the A, then we play a G, and then we play an F. A, G, F. And those are the 6 string modes, 6 string full, 6 string shape of these scales. Very cool. B, we can start with B, A, G. When you go to C, it's going to be a C, B, A. When we head to the D, D, C, B. We had the E, D, C, and back to F over here. So what you could do now with these modes is simply just start soloing with them. You can either you can just kind of choose one of the backing tracks and one of these keys, back to the G Mixolydian backing track, and just start soloing in the entire 6 strings of this. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Not going to go through all of them, but I'll just start with G Mixolydian, and we'll go back to that cool backing track, G Mixolydian backing track, and we'll just solo with that right here. And hopefully I can find it. Alright, here we go. Back to the G Mixolydian backing track. I'm just going to use all 6 strings. So G, F, E. It's a simple little jam and all 6 strings going up and down. This is different than playing through the octaves. this is now the actual mode of G Mixolydian across 6 strings. We can also do this, I'll do it in the E Phrygian. I kind of butchered that last E Phrygian jam, so let's try that out. Alright, here we go. Alright, so anyway, just a little bit of soloing here through these modes, shapes, and you shall see how the stacking works for these letter patterns, making these modes. I'll try a little bit more since I still have only been 5 minutes. We can try this in A minor. So I'll just go search for an A minor backing track. Let's see what kind of good one comes up. The one I had before was excellent, so I will use this one. Clean. Pretty easy stuff. Just doing a little bit because, you know, it's hard, I guess, to do the full mode shapes. It's a little bit easier to do. You actually have to know like the entire arpeggio for this minor. And that's going to help you to guide your soloing so that it sounds good. If I focus on these triad notes, if I focus on the arpeggio, it's actually going to sound really quite good. Otherwise, it's going to sound like random stuff. I'll just play a little bit so you can just kind of... It doesn't really sound like a lot because I'm just playing random notes in the scale. When you improvise, my guess is you're playing random notes in the scale. When I improvise, I choose which notes to choose because... I'm following the triad shapes. So this again was sort of covered in the jamming video. It's the very first video. So we want to sort of avoid doing random stuff. We want to choose the notes we play based on the triad shape and then sort of add in extra notes around there. So let's do this in C major, and I think we shall end it here after the C major. So C major backing track. Let's see what there is. And the one I had before was pretty good, so I'll just play it again. Okay, let's do it. Alright, so as you can see, I now have access to the entire 6-string shape just because I know that these letter patterns exist stacked on top of each other. This might be a little bit harder to sort of master than the other exercises because it's just so much stuff to visualize and improve. It took me many years to really get this down, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was a bit challenging for you. So this was the entire exercise thing. I take my students through this whole thing in the course of several weeks, and it's and it's literally one piece of paper. This one paper. It takes us several weeks and weeks to finally get all this stuff, just to practice it all, understand it all. It takes several weeks, even like 2 months or something. And it's one single piece of paper. So I think this paper shall be linked somewhere, and I hope you enjoyed this series. I will also continue doing other videos on jamming and improvising. See you later.